Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Tipplers.
The podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
In this episode, we read Warrior's Woman by Johanna Lindsey. This book has many scenes of non-consensual sex. They're presented in a romance fantasy context in which the woman says no but means yes, which we will refer to as a ravishing. This may be distressing for some of our fans. For more information on how we categorize trigger warnings and consent in a vintage romance context, please see our page on language and consent at bodicetipplers.com.
So, if you love Beastmaster, if you love Flash Gordon and Spaceballs, but wish it was just a little bit hornier, then our book that we're doing today is for you. We have read Johanna Lindsey's Warrior's Woman, and this book is straight up bananas. This is our second Lindsey book.
Yes. And they're cursed, by the way. Something always terrible happens when we try to do it.
So, Johanna Lindsey wrote her first book, Captive Bride, in 1977. It was on a whim. And she's like mega successful. If you read romances, you've heard of her.
She has an amazing author photo, by the way. She's got like this crystal gale hair. It's fantastic.
So, she has more than 58 million copies of her books that have been sold. And this is the first part of the Lysander Family Saga series. So this book came out in 1991, and just to give you some perspective, books that were on the New York Times bestseller list were The Dark Half by Stephen King, Daddy by Danielle Steele, The Bad Place by Dean Koontz, Devices and Desires, P.D. James, The Stand, Stephen King, and then Plains of Passage by our good friend Jean M. Ale, whose name I can never say. Whatever.
So we've come full circle.
Yeah, so
I'm a little concerned about what Daddy by Danielle Steele is. I probably read it.
Now I kind of want to read it.
Well, we've got I can show you the world.
So this is the first in 3 books. So Warrior's Woman was 1990, Keeper of the Heart was 1993, and then Heart of a Warrior was 2001. Now I've read the descriptions for all of them, and they don't really seem to tie in together. Like one seems like it's like about a Highlander or something, so I don't know. It seems very strange.
I don't want to say we should read them because, quite frankly, this was not a very good book.
Like, the Johanna Lindsey style is just strange, I think. Like, we'll get more into it. I used to read a lot of her when I was younger. Like, I think she focuses, and maybe it's a good thing, she focuses more on the female characters.
Yeah.
And like, the male characters are kind of placeholders. We're going to talk a little bit about the covers. That was one of the things in our Twitter poll that we had, was to talk about the covers, and then afterwards we'll tell you what we're drinking.
Yes.
So, this cover is very, very celestial. It's very purple.
It's very He-Man.
Yeah, it is very He-Man. Again, this book kind of like, I felt like she took a lot of inspiration from things like Beastmaster and He-Man, and then just like sexed it up. So, we got
if Prince Adam wore a way better wig.
Yeah,
that's the cover.
We've got a Fabio-looking guy on it, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And then he is, the woman is crushed in his arms. She's got long black hair. It's up in a ponytail. She's wearing an outfit that's in the book that's made of scarves.
The whole thing is in the book, actually. Even her little hair ornament. So this is not one of those where they did not read the book. And
he's got a sword. I mean, it is kind of a cover that grabs you. Like, you're going to notice it.
And you can see it on our website, bodicetipplers.com, if you'd like to take a look at this.
So, I got some information actually about the cover artist, and she's sort of amazing. Her name's Elaine DeWillow. She was born in 1928. The last, information that I could find about her was around 2008. So
she might be a lot.
Yeah. So, she was classic. She went to art school. She started off in the 50s and 60s, and she was doing men's magazine illustrations and things, and this is at a time when people aren't hiring women, so she's doing art and just signing her name as a man, which is kind of amazing.
Just a man.
Yeah, as a man. I couldn't find her pseudonym that she would use. So she used to paint, in her words, hundreds of Gothics. That's kind of, she went from pulp books to Gothics, and this is at the time when the Gothic had a woman, a house, and then another little
nightgown, yeah.
Yeah.
A vignette in the bottom, right, yeah.
But she is one of the people that really was instrumental in changing covers. She's not the first or the only female book cover artist, but she's the one who really gave us these bodice ripper styles.
And when you're thinking of, even if you haven't looked at this cover, and what you're
Yeah.
thinking it looks like, and it has like the ridiculous font on it, yeah, that's her style. That's her. That's what you're thinking of.
So yeah, she worked a lot with Johanna Lindsey, and she actually did the cover of our other book, Silver Angel,
which was like a wonderful cover, by the way. It was amazing.
And like in interviews, she talks about the male models and how she finds it kind of silly that they're all shaved and things, and that she will change faces. Like she changed Fabio's face a lot. To
and
make
I think that must be what this is, because it looks weirdly. It looks like Fabio, but it doesn't look like Fabio. Like the nose is weird. And
yeah, so
it's a little uncanny valley in a Fabio sense.
but like, you know, I think obviously she's long since retired, but like she, you know, had a protege. She was signed into I think it's like the Romance Art Hall of Fame. And you can even buy some of her work.
Is that a place we can go?
I don't think it's a place. I think
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. But she's really cool. So it was just kind of interesting, these covers that we just kind of take for granted and are like, oh, they're so silly. Like, this woman was like a badass pioneer. And if you think about it, like, she probably they started off making like 3,000 to 4,000 a cover, and like they can be upwards of 10,000. So
yeah. Good for her.
She's making
money. Get it. Go get that bread.
All right, so we are drinking. I have a bottle of Grenache, which is a French wine. I got it because it talked about very verdant fields and water and valleys, and that's a big thing that happens in this book.
There's a lot of verdant valleys in this book.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. There might even be some peninsulas.
Yeah, so it just kind of feels like our character goes from a planet that sounds very, like,
there's no
urban
water there.
And, like, barren to basically kind of like jungle planet, so...
And I brought, and see, I made an enormous mistake. I did not go to Morganelli's because I had to go on my lunch break and I didn't have much time. So I went to Morganelli's competitor, and that was stupid. Because, I mean, I guess partly it's that this fair is in town, and I know that, like, you New Yorkers are thinking about the South Carolina State Fair, and you're thinking about a bunch of fucking yokels, like, standing around looking at a fancy chicken. That is exactly what the South Carolina State Fair is. We also have butter sculptures. But... that's in town, and there's a football game and all this business. So the long and the short of it is that the Morganelli's competitor had a cop, a sworn officer of the law from the Columbia Police Department, not a rent-a-cop, directing traffic in their parking lot.
It happens.
And I mean,
that place too.
And you're imagining like a Walmart parking lot. No. Imagine a parking lot like the...
To be fair, that parking lot is crazy.
It's incredibly stupid. But I mean, it's like the size of a convenience store parking lot. It is tiny. And he had this look on his face, like his life was just absolute fucking shithole. And I'm like, that guy looks miserable. And then in 30 seconds, I had the same fucking look on my face because everybody but me was a fucking idiot. So I should have gone to Morganelli's. But the one I got, it's called Zinfomaniac. Because, she starts out in this book real rational, but then, like, her vagina takes over.
And we'll get into
entirely.
it, but this whole, like, universe is oversexed.
Yeah, it's one of the cover is exactly what the book is like. But it's really cool, the label for the wine is super fun and adorable.
It's a fun gift wine.
Yes, it's a fun gift wine, which I'm sure is why they make that kind of thing, right? We have some announcements. We have a lot of stuff, exciting stuff that's going on right now with our podcast. We are trying to do transcripts. I have done one. I've done the one for Shadow of the Lynx. So if you were to go to the page for Shadow of the Lynx in our website, bodicetipplers.com, you would see a link to a Google Doc, which has a transcript. They are really, really time-consuming because we are conversational and long-winded.
Southern.
And Southern. So the transcription software does not. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. But we really care about our listeners with disabilities and about, people who maybe just don't want to listen. They would prefer to read. So we are trying to get these up. They are not going to be, it's just not possible to do them at the same time that the episode releases. So what we're going to try to do is put a little preview, like the first 5 minutes maybe, when it releases. And then as I go back and I'm able to do the transcript, we will add that. So we hope that's helpful. If you would give us your feedback, if you have anything to say about the way we're doing our transcript, or if we could do anything else that is helpful to you, just drop us a line at bodicetipplers@gmail.com. If you want them quicker, we started a Patreon. It is expensive to have somebody do our transcripts for us, but if we made enough money, we could do that.
If we made enough, like, yeah. Like, basically our Patreon is to help us buy these nonsense books and,
Yeah.
like, help us keep the lights on, so to speak. So we have different levels,
Yes.
and you can check that out, too, at our...
It's patreon.com/bodicetipplers, or there's obviously a link from bodicetipplers.com. If you give $1 a month, as little as $1 a month, you will get a shout out on our podcast and the satisfaction to know that you are helping us make art.
Yes.
But like if you get stuff, if you go higher up, $5 will get you a sticker. $25 will get you a tote bag. It's cool stuff, and it's designs that we don't sell on any of the stores. Also, we are doing something fun with this particular book.
Yes.
We're gonna do like a chain letter if you're old enough to remember chain letters, or I guess a Flat Stanley if you are young enough to remember Flat Stanley.
So it's like a wayward warrior's woman.
Yeah, there you go. A wayward
Wayward
warrior's woman.
So
That's a good hashtag.
So the point is that we are going to, if you want to be a part of it, we are going to send this book and try to send it around the country.
Try to hit all 50 states.
Yeah,
We'll see.
when we get it to you, if you want to like write a note in the book, that would be great, so the next person can read it and then sign something, and so forth and so forth. Also, make sure that when you get the book, you take a picture of it and that you put it on social media. We'll have our hashtag Wayward Warriors Woman, hashtag Bodice Tipplers.
We'll put directions in
Yeah,
it. But the
so-
first place it's going to is Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Zach's going
so-
to take a picture of it first. So if you let us know, either you can contact on social media or you can just email us at bodicetipplers@gmail.com and let us know your address and that you want to be part of this, and we will put you on the list. It'll be super cute. And we'll tag Johanna Lindsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she'll like it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
So what else are we reading?
Okay, so I just finished Paul Tremblay's The Cabin at the End of the World. The book is about 7-year-old Wynn and her two fathers, Eric and Andrew. They're on vacation at a remote cabin in New Hampshire, and 4 strangers show up and give them a choice. As soon as I got done with the book, I gave it to a friend and like basically was like, you have to read this right now so we can talk about it. I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's one of those books that you're gonna think about after. Like, last night I was thinking about it. I loved it. So it's a very spooky book. It's perfect for Halloween. Paul Tremblay's The Cabin at the End of the World.
Well, I just read Tamsin Muir's, I think, Gideon the Ninth, which is kind of like a really hot book. It's like Tor's big book this season, and it's also very Halloween-y. It's about lesbian necromancers in sort of, it almost turns into like a British country house mystery. Mm-hmm. There's skeletons. I loved it. A lot of people, I was surprised to see, did not like it very much, or only liked it when it picked up in the second half. So it's not for everybody, and it's not a perfect book. It gets kind of shaggy and unfocused in the plotting, but I still fucking love it. And if you take a look at the cover, and if that is your jam, trust me, the book is your jam. It's awesome, yes, but it is absolutely delivers on what it says on the cover. It is about lesbian necromancers and skeletons. And we'll link that from our page, and also we'll do a post on it on Facebook and Twitter. So do you want to... let me take a moment, and I'm going to use the word swords and planets a lot in this, because it's this crazy genre, and if you are not like me with a big science fiction background, you're going to be scratching your head, so I figured I should explain what the hell I mean when I say sword and planet, because it has a weird sex history always. You can say like the trope namer is your John Carter Barsoom books, A Princess of Mars, and...
Yes, Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights in that movie. So, the Tim Riggins movie where he's on a planet.
The movies where they keep trying to give Taylor Kitsch a chance. But yeah, so that's by Edgar Rice Burroughs, the Tarzan man.
Yeah.
So, what always happens in these books is that somebody from a higher technology world, one way or the other, ends up on a planet where they have like a fake reason why everybody fights with swords. All right, every single fucking time. But there's always weird sex politics about it. Like, it's always, like, half the population is naked, where it's like that. And it kind of, I don't want to say culminates, but it gets real weird with these gore books. Mm-hmm. Like John Norman's gore books, which start out kind of like John Carter of Mars, but end up being sex dungeon books. And he wrote like 26 of these things. And they're evidently very influential. Like, the modern dominant submissive, like, scene is, like, right from gore. I don't know. It's not my jam.
So is it G-O-R-E or G-O-R?
G-O-R.
There we go. And we can put information about it up.
Yeah,
on
I'll link it on the... But it's weird and it's bizarre because it's got the same thing, that there's always some weird sex stuff with this. And there's a ton of these, but like I'm thinking about this Piers Anthony series, and I'm like a lot of other people my age who read way too far into Piers Anthony and now look back and the dude is fucking creepy. But these Apprentice add-up books where there's a technology world and a fantasy world, and of course there's weird sex stuff in it.
But also, like, it does go over into this romance genre. Like, Johanna Lindsey's not the only person to have done something like this. I was thinking of one, like, this stupid random book that I read in college about this girl that gets in her car and essentially, like, gets sent to a planet where people are sort of, like, felines, and there's like a lot of weird sex stuff, so it does kind of like cross.
There's a lot of anime like this too, where everybody's always using swords for no reson after you get taken from the top of the Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
But I think the interesting thing about this is that like all the big ones that I can think of are very much about this weird sex stuff from the man's perspective.
Yeah.
And this book is not feminist in its perspective, as in like it's all about this ravishing relationship, but at the same time, it's about it from a woman's perspective, and she is absolutely DTF.
I mean, and that is the thing, and that's one of the things, too, that we'll get into a little bit later. Like, it very much is the Johanna Lindsey jam. Like, she's got a very particular sexual lens that she works through, so we can get into that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be talking more about those consent issues.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm wondering if it's on purpose. If this is Johanna Lindsey reading gore and being like, oh, yeah, forget that. Like, this is what it would be like. Or if it's like, I
read that she, like, had this idea, and basically, because it was kind of out of her wheelhouse, like, it took, like, her kind of support team to be like, hey, do it. So
yeah, she is not a science fiction author, and that is extremely clear in this. It is not good science fiction. But why don't you tell them about the science fiction? Do the plot. Or wait, no, we have to read the back cover first.
Yes,
because it is stupid. A passion that could conquer galaxies. In the year 2139, fearless Tedra Da'ar sets out to rescue her beleaguered planet Kristan from the savage rule of the evil Krad Simor. Everybody has stupid names in this. Experienced in combat, but not in love, the beautiful, untouched Amazon flies with Martha, her wisecracking, free-thinking computer, to a world where warriors reign supreme, and into the arms of the one man she could never hope to vanquish, the bronzed barbarian Charlin Lysanter. A magnificent creature of raw yet disciplined desires, the muscle-bound primitive succeeds where no puny Christian male had before, igniting a raging fire within Tedra that must be extinguished before she can even think of saving her enslaved world. That's pretty much exactly what it's about.
So this book, again, these worlds that we're going to be at, everybody's crazy, like, horny. Like, it's... that is part of, like, I guess, programmed into them is... essentially, they have to have sex, or what they call, like, stress relief once a day. Like, it has to be done. So, just keep that in mind as we go through it. So, again, we have Tedra. She is our heroine. She lives on Kristan, this planet, and she's there, and I think she works as, like, a government agent. Like, she is basically, like, the cream of the crop. Like, Secret Service level warrior. They call it a Sec 1. That is her job. So... she's just getting around. Johanna Lindsey does this world building. She lives in this place that's kind of Jetson-y. You know, she can go through and change her hair color and her eye color.
It's the kind of thing where they explain everything to you too much. It's terrible.
Anyway, so, you know, she can change, like, her physical appearance, and they make a point of this. So she's this government guard on her planet, and she has been sent to do kind of like this weird bullshit job where she has to go protect a lab. And while this is happening,
it's like Greenpeace is attacking the lab.
Yeah, so while this is happening, she
misses the 2016 election is what happens.
So there's a coup. There's a coup on her planet, and the leader is overtaken by this Krad Simor character. And what he does is he uses this race of warriors called Shakara warriors. Now, it's important to know that these guys left their home planet about 400 years ago and basically just became like the Reapers from Firefly.
Reavers.
Like, yeah, that's what I said. I said Reapers. So
it's Reavers. Oh my God. It doesn't matter.
So she goes through, like, they go through and, like, all they do is they work as mercenaries. So this guy hires them out to come and help take over the planet because they're really big. They're way bigger than the dudes on Kristen. They carry these swords that are made out of a special metal. They're like ace warriors. And the deal that they have is once they help take over the planet, they get all the ladies from Kristen. So, So Tedra finds all this out, and she is like, oh my god, I've got to help. So her and her, like, BFF and, like, good, just kind of, like, on paper beta dude, his name's Rourke. He helps, like, create a new identity for her. He helps steal a spaceship, like, to get her off the planet. He's like, you know, if they catch you, you're going to be sold off to these dudes.
There's no resistance because this coup is planned in such a way that everybody else is already, you know, it's a done deal by the time she gets there.
Right. So she uploads her computer friend Martha. She's got this special computer that, like, was built for her. And the way that I read it is the computer is, like, basically built out of her consciousness and, like, is tied to her. So, like, knows everything about her. Knows how she operates, knows when she says one thing but thinks another. Like, that's kind of the feeling that I got, like, that was their connection. Alright, so it's important for Tedra to leave because Tedra's still a virgin. All this stuff. So it's crazy. We talk about this virgin thing a lot. So,
yeah, they change. It's a very sex positive, sex forward society, except that they have this rule where you have to be breached, is their word, by 25.
Yeah.
She's about to hit it, but then, like, Trump comes in, and then they change it to 18, so all these women are now criminals.
And get taken off by these dudes. And the other thing that they talk about, especially when we get into these warriors, is there's a point made that, like genetically or, like, almost, like, built into them, like, they can't hurt women. Like, it's very strange. Like, they basically possess women, and women are kind of traded off as commodities, but they can't physically hurt them. And I feel like she puts this in as, like, a, hey, guys, you know, and again, we'll talk about it later, like, it's ravishing, it's not rape, you know, so...
But the people, the women getting sent off planet as payment,
that
doesn't feel very ravishing. That feels like the straight
it's gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so she takes off in her spaceship. Johanna Lindsey gives the spaceship a name.
Who cares?
Yeah, and it's like, you don't really care because you don't know anything about this planet. Like, whoop-de-doo. So it's her robot Martha, who's a lot like Dottie from Spaceballs. And then she also has this cyborg that she uses for cuddling named Korth. Now, like, Martha knows because Tedra hasn't had sex that, like, she needs different ways to relieve stress. So, like, Martha's sassy and they fight. And, like, that's one of the ways that helps relieve her stress.
Martha also sneaks in and she sexualizes the android, which is,
she makes him more, like, sexually aggressive. Like, he's never gonna, like, do anything. He's not gonna be, like, the cyborg or, like, for, like, the whatever from Alien. Like, he's never gonna go off book. But, like, he's like, hey, yeah, come on. And Martha's like, I thought you might want something a little more aggressive. Like, have sex with this robot.
And she's like, I just wanted to play racquetball and, like, have him open pickle jars.
All right, so they're traveling around, and then they go to, like, another solar system, what the fuck ever. They don't really explain that. Like, they're just in the ship, they're wisecracking, and all of a sudden they end up, like, in this whole...
Martha planned the whole thing out.
This whole other place, and that's where they find the originators of the Shakara warriors, like the ones that are up there being mercenaries. They find their home planet. Now, again, these dudes that are up in space, they probably have no recollection of this home planet anymore.
It's been generations.
Yeah. All right, so Tedra's like, hey, I bet I can go get these warriors, and they can help me retake our planet. So she's exploring, and, like, it's vastly different from where she lives. So, like, where she lives is kind of that modern idea of, like, what planets are, where, like, tall buildings and, like again, spaceships, like, instead of, like, cars.
Concrete.
Yeah.
And it's very, the android's dream of electric sheep. Like, you have to save up and save up and save up to get a pet.
But the pets aren't, like, actual pets. They're not living. It's, like, robot pets.
There's no water. They explain that it's all, like, electric showers.
Yeah, it was very strange. Like, these solar showers. So they kept talking about it, and I was like, ooh, this sounds terrible. All right, so she's on this planet that's vastly different. Everything's, like, green and jungly and verdant and beautiful. And she is exploring, and then this big-ass hot blonde barbarian, they come upon each other.
Well, and she wants to talk to this guy because well, for one thing, that was her original major, is that exploration, but she wants to get troops to take back her planet. So that's her idea here, is that she can get her own damn sword-wielding barbarians.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like that was her point. So she finds him, she wants to talk to him, but he sees that she's dressed like a warrior, and he's having none of it. He's like, you need to take that off. You need to take that off. And she's like, whoa, buck up. So
he doesn't believe that she's a space alien.
Yeah. So she freezes him. She's got like what I'm going to just call like her sonic screwdriver. Like she freezes him with it. And she's talking to Martha. And then she's like checking him out. She's like, oh, this guy's 6'5". And you get the feeling she's tall.
Yeah.
Like she's taller than like most of the dudes on her planet. So
and she refuses to have sex with anybody who she thinks she can beat in a fight.
Yeah.
So that's been like that's why she has not given up that V card. It's because like the dudes are too short.
She's short and wimpy, I guess.
I don't know.
Like, she freezes him, and she is going over there and straight up feeling up on this guy. Like, and again, you get the feeling that the inspiration for him is He-Man and the guy from Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Like, Johanna Lindsey saw those two movies and was like, that's what this is gonna be. He's like wearing like buckskin pants and no shirt, and she's like straight up touching him. And then Martha's like, hey, the freeze ray only worked half the way. Like, he's too big and too muscly. She's like, he's frozen, but he can tell everything that you're doing.
He's too much man for these phasers.
And so that's when Tedra's like, oh, sorry. And I was like, would she be okay? Like, would she be all right with, like, touching him if he was completely out of it?
Completely, yes.
All right, so his name is Challen. And I remember it was so funny. She, like, lets us know how it's pronounced. Because she's like, it's like Challen, but without the G-E, like challenge, but without the G-E at the end. So, again, he's very virile. Very virile. So, again, he's from a super oversexed planet, too. He has to take some kind of, like, reverse Viagra that keeps him from getting too horny and distracted while he's, like, hunting or fighting or even doing business. So, like, they take this shit all the time. So Tedra's trying to talk to him about this, and he just won't listen to her at all. She tries to tell him she's from a different planet. He's like, no, I don't believe it. That she's a warrior. No, I don't believe it. Nothing. You know, she's like, I have a spaceship. He's like, you don't have a spaceship. So
he thinks that she's probably crazy, possibly a danger to herself.
Yeah.
But he does not, to be fair, he does not understand that she has none of the cultural competency.
Yeah.
She has no context for this, and she does not get what's about to happen at all whatsoever.
Yeah. So there's like weird rules on this planet. Like, women have to be claimed by a man, or else, like, if they're unclaimed, then a man can just go claim her. Mm-hmm. So he's like, well, who are you? Like, you're not unclaimed. I'm going to claim you. She's just like, no, you're not. And then it ends up being she challenges him, which is a thing that only men can do. So they have a fight. Tedra's holding her own, but he's just too big. He's too beefy to beat.
Johanna Lindsey likes a tall man.
But also, she's like making a point not to really hurt him.
Yeah.
Like, she could have killed him if she wanted, because she has her sonic screwdriver that's got, like, you know, she goes set from, like, stun to kill.
Torture.
Yeah, so she loses, and the loss, what she has to do, the payment, I guess, the forfeit, is that she basically becomes his sex slave for a month.
Yeah.
And again, I get the feeling that if Tedra did not want to do this.
Yeah. Well, he says, I would never force you.
Yeah.
Right. And they're kind of the rule, they work out this, like, little snipey, like, rule.
Yeah.
That he can tell her what to do in a place that he sleeps.
Yeah.
And of course, he's like, I sleep here, and I sleep there, and I sleep everywhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and it turns out that if she had just taken, like, it's kind of a notional ownership.
Yeah.
That he couldn't have, like, told her to do jack shit if that she didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very, like, there's a lot of, like, complicated rules in this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
And nobody ever just gives her the book, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, like, you know.
Alright, so they're going back to his hunting camp. And they're riding on, like, he's got basically...
It's Battle Cat, all right?
Well, there's the Battle Cat, but then there's, like, also,
true.
there's, like, this... Like, basically, like, I feel like it's like a mastodon or something. Some hairy, like, four-legged creature.
Like, oh, damn, what is the thing that they cut open in A Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, whatever that
I'll
thing
think
is.
of it before we, yeah.
So they're on that. And then, again, he's got this giant cat that, like, just comes out of nowhere. And she's scared, and, like, he's basically pretending like he's got... Again, this is some shit from Beastmaster.
Yeah.
And he's got a battle cat. That's what he has, is he's got the battle cat from He-Man.
But some of this is him not knowing what the hell she's talking about and being confused by her. Some of it is him on purpose. Like, he doesn't tell her that he's the king.
Yeah, so...
Because she's like, I hope I get to talk to the king, you know.
So she starts yelling at him, like...
It's one of those.
Yeah, and
a lot of stomping around.
So there's also, like, women get punished, but the punishment's always, like...
Foreplay.
Yeah, it's like sexual foreplay, like sex torture is what I'm gonna just call it, is sex torture. So he's punishing her by basically, like, fingering her while they're riding on this mastodon. And she's mad because she's getting all hot and bothered, but he does not have an erection. Like, she's pissed off about it. She takes it as a personal affront.
Because she is hot.
Yeah, and she has no idea about the reverse Viagra.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that sound is a dog snoring, by the way.
Yeah, so he, like, also, like, makes her take off her, like, space uniform, and she has to wear what he gives her.
It's like a blanket, and he eventually gives her a belt to go with it. So
yeah, there's
that.
a blanket.
Yeah.
All right, so they get back to the hunting camp, and she's kind of paraded by all of these soldiers. And again, she thinks it's just, like, embarrassing, but it's part of this, like, now you know she's with me, where she's claimed. So they finally get to, like, his tent, and they do it. His Viagra wears off. Johanna Lindsey doesn't really give you a lot of, like, slot A going to slot B. It's a lot of, like, just flowery, like, prose.
We'll talk about it later, but there is so much doing it in this book, and none of it was hot to me.
No, it was just like, okay. But she does black out. Like, she does black out from the sex. So, they talk about the sexual politics of her planet and his planet. Again, he still doesn't believe that she is anything but a crazy bitch. So he takes her back to his city, and there's castles, which she thinks is really cool. And this is where, like, she finds out that he's actually the king of this little, like...
There's a word, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, there's, like, I guess on the planet, like, these warriors are, like, divided into different kingdoms. So he is the king of his kingdom. They talk more about the stupid claiming laws, and Tedra's like, this is some bullshit. And I was like, good for Tedra. It is some bullshit. Okay, so they call the king the Shodan.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. She meets his uncle. She's totally, like, crazy, you know, like, what about, like, the idea of relatives? Because on her planet, people are basically, like, created in they're created in test tubes. They're put into, like, a birthing cyborg. After their birth, they're put into a center until they're old enough to, like, start training for their jobs. So, like, there's no family. No concept of family. Nuclear family. Alright, so she continues to be sassy. She, like, kicks the uncle in the balls.
Everything to her, she says everything is primitive, but it's like that cool kind of, like, John Carter kind of primitive, where, like, wow, this is a pretty fucking nice castle, you know? Like, it's very palatial and all that kind of stuff. And there's baths.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so he takes a bath. She freaks out. She is not used to, like, being in water for bathing.
Or at all. I mean, like, there's just not free water or shit.
Yeah. So she also, like, discovers all these stupid things, like a closet. She's like, what's this? Like, she basically has the thing that Cher has in Clueless, where she's just like, pushes a button and an outfit comes through. Lord, it's just...
A lot happens, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's really hard to summarize this kind of book. They're just constantly doing it.
And fighting.
Yeah.
So also, like, she's given the outfit that women wear. And in the book, it's basically, like, a series of scarves tied together.
I found, like, a Diane von Furstenberg dress online that I posted.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, and the idea is, like, you have to know how to wear it, otherwise it's just going to fall the fuck off you.
So they do it again, but then, of course, she's like, well, he's just doing it with me because of the outfit, not because of me. Like, there's a lot of this.
But she picks the one that's the wrong color, and it's this whole thing.
So she leaves the castle. She sneaks out to visit town. And there she's accosted by two men because she's in the wrong color because of the claiming laws and blah, 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 blah. Again, she has made this ridiculously complicated system that I really was like, Johanna Lindsey, I don't even care enough to follow this. Like, all right, so she fights the dudes, but, like, there's two of them, so, you know, they're get the upper hand. But then Challen's best friend, Tamarin, And I thought the second book would have been about him because he's in it a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
So he shows up, he helps her, saves her, and he's like, I gotta let Challen know that you try to escape, so you'll be punished. So Challen is super pissed off, and he's like, first off, you're gonna feed me so we can talk. So she's just like stuffing food in his face so she can like, just talk at him. She was like, well, if you're gonna punish me, like beat me so I remember that this place sucks and I need to get out of here. And he's like, we don't hurt women. Again, this weird rule comes up, so he just sex tortures her. But then he sex tortures her for fucking hours. Like, it's like 12 hours of sex torture. I guess you find out after the fact that he had basically OD'd on the reverse Viagra. Like, he roofied himself and blacked out and doesn't remember all of the shit that he did to her.
But she is pissed.
Yeah. So he feels bad about it. And
she feels personally offended, though. Like, she
Again, she doesn't know that the reverse Viagra is a thing that exists. So a lot of it for her is
such a big plot point.
He's like, he doesn't want me. Like, how can he not want me?
I hate him. Why doesn't he want to fuck me?
I'm Tedra Da'ar. Like, why don't you want to fuck me? So he's kind of doing that George Michael walk from Arrested Development with like the sad music playing in the background, hanging down, feeling bad about it. And he's walking around in the woods and he finds, or he like remembers that he has the sonic screwdriver of Tedra's. So he pushes the button and then we get Martha. And again, like I said, Martha, I feel like is an extension for me, and we can discuss it when we do our questions. Martha is an extension of Tedra. So he's like, one, he realizes that she's not full of shit, that she's not crazy, that she's from another fucking planet. Because Martha's like, hey man, if you hurt my girl, I can do more than this. And like she sends like this big air blast and like blows up some trees near him, and he's like, whoa. So she's like, and this was just air. I have lasers. I have lasers, as I will laser your planet.
And to be fair, she did lose track of Tedra because it just never occurred to Tedra that she would lose her clothes.
Yeah.
So she lost her tracker. So now Martha knows where she is.
So Martha, like they're talking about it, and Martha like gives him the business, but also gives him some advice. She was like, basically, I let you take her because she needed banging. And he's talking about, like, what he did and, like, I did all this stuff. She's like, all right, if she's mad like this, she's like, if she yells at you, you're fine. You just got to let her get it out of her system. She's like, if she's quiet, if she's not talking to you, you need to send her to me right now because, like, she's going to kill you. So he goes back after talking to Tedra, or after talking to Martha. They like, fuck it out again. And then
constant. Is that where he gets with the kitten?
Well, like,
is that later?
Okay, so he admits he overdid the sex torturing. Doesn't remember what he did to himself. She still doesn't know about the drug. Like, she still doesn't know. She says she'll forgive him if he becomes her servant. And she uses it basically to be like a little bit, like not even like half-ass dominant during sex,
But she doesn't even have the guts to follow through and actually.
I know.
Yeah.
So
I was very disappointed with her there. I really thought that like we were gonna get no, okay. And it was gonna be hot, but.
So he gives her a baby battle cat and a game room. He gives her a game room, too. And, like, this is when she realizes, like, oh, I guess these men really can't hurt women, and they really care about what they feel.
You can do a lot of things to me if you give me a baby battle cat.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, it's a kitten, but it's, like, a coffee table size.
Yeah, it was like a Rottweiler-sized kitten. So he agrees to help her, that he's going to start, like, gathering troops and this kind of stuff. They really kind of slough over that. Yeah. That's really not a main plot. So they're going to look at the mine where all this special metal is made.
There's other stuff about this too, but don't worry about it because it's stupid. It doesn't matter.
So they're walking through the mine. And Tedra just, like, jokingly kicks, like, one of the support beams. Like, she just, like, when you kick a tire, she's just like, kicks it a couple times, and the thing fucking completely collapses.
And then everybody blames her. Like, that's fucking OSHA, dude. That's not my fault.
You guys can't build fucking mines, is what this means. Like, she didn't even really kick it. So he is, like, mortally wounded. He's got, like, rebar through his chest.
It's messy.
Yeah. So she is freaking the fuck out. The, like, the warrior guys are won't let her get to him. And she's like, I can fix him, motherfuckers. And she's like, I just need my sonic screwdriver. And Tameron's like, oh, I've got it. He's like, Challen gave it to me for safekeeping. And she was like, well, fucking give it to me. So she pushes the thing. Martha beams her, Tameron, and Challen up. Challen is in the medical pod. And it's Tameron and Tedra just kind of looking around. And Tameron's like, whoa, I'm in a spaceship. This is weird. So she gets him all fixed up. And they beam back down exactly where they were. And she's like...
But she messes with his memory.
Well,
like,
no, but then...
It's
like,
weird.
So she tells Tameron, she's like, you're not going to say a damn thing about this. And Tameron's
I guess his ego couldn't handle it. I don't even know.
But then she tells him, she's like, yeah, babe, you got... He's like, what happened? The last thing I remember is extreme pain. And she's like, yeah, you got banged up a little bit, so I took you to my spaceship. Like, she's like totally
the whole thing is very strange written.
Yeah, like, they don't even, like, really talk about it. Like, I don't think he knew that he was, like, dying. So... Okay, let's see. So he's like trying to, it's just, there's a whole lot of nothing that happens. Like he's gathering soldiers. He's out. He won't let her help with like getting the soldiers. And again, probably because.
That wouldn't be helpful in this planet. But
so she gets mad at him when he shows back up with some blonde girl.
There's this dumb abduction business.
Yeah, there's an abduction.
It's the kind of book where a lot of people are stomping around a lot and being extremely dramatic.
She meets his parents, but then the parents like never show up. You find out she's pregnant, and she's like, "Whoa,
we don't do that."
Yeah, but
Gross.
She's like, "Hey, man," she finds out it's a boy, and is like, "All right, I guess I'm pregnant. I'm having a baby." Woo! So they finally go. She gets all of the soldiers on her spaceship, and that was the other thing. I was like, "How big is this fucking spaceship? Like, you're gonna fit like thousands of soldiers on this spaceship?"
Because
and, like,
remember, we're going to storm a government. Like, we're going to take over an entire planet. It doesn't.
So,
they get
to the planet. They take it back over. Tedra gets injured. Challen cries. Oh, earlier in the book, she had told him that she loved him, and he was like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "That's what you." We don't say the L word. He's like, "Bitches be loving men. That's what you guys do." And she's like, "You motherfucker."
He's got that big arrogant thing going on, which is sometimes hot and sometimes not, and in this, it's very neutral.
So she gets injured. He cries. She gets healed in her space pod. He admits that he loves her. And
meanwhile, the dudes are attacking all the chairs.
Yeah.
Because they're like kind of automatic, like conform to your butt chairs, and they're all freaking out and hitting them with their swords.
And then and then the book ends. So that is this book in a nutshell.
Oh,
and
Lord.
It is very strange. And
it's not good science fiction, but then, like, there's so much that happens that if you start explaining some of it, you have to explain all of it, but really nothing happens.
No. Basically, the summary of this book is warrior dudes take a planet, lady leaves the planet, goes to another planet, finds more warrior dudes, fucks a lot, goes back to the original planet, saves the planet.
It's like, and then they, like, remember that they can teleport. Who cares?
So before we get into questions, we have a new segment that we're going to try. So I've got a really good family friend, and especially after my mom passed, she's become kind of like, when I need a mom, she's one of those women that is there. And her name is Martha. And all I could do when I read the Martha character was hear the Martha that I know reading these passages. So I asked her, I was like, would you be willing to do this? And she said, sure. And it is amazing. So we're going to play some of them for you. My Martha, again, this Martha that I know is probably sassier than this robot. She has been on school boards, told off superintendents. She also saved LeVar Burton from a hot air balloon accident.
This is actually true.
This is a very true story. So enjoy Martha reading Martha.
Tedra, you haven't fallen asleep, have you? Martha's voice returned about 15 minutes later. Not yet. You're right, kiddo. Maybe I am bored. Why don't we discuss your love life? Tedra started up, almost taking the bait, but then she lay back down on the adjust-a-couch that had just been widened so Korth could lay next to her on it. She settled back into his arms, but caught him grinning at her after Martha's off-the-wall suggestion. She gave the android a stern look when he started to speak and said to Martha, "Why don't we discuss your love life instead, old girl?" How are you and the engineering computer getting along together? A very definite snort. Martha was getting good at that sound. Let's get serious, shall we? There isn't a machine on this ship up to my standards, but you've got one there up to yours. I brought the kid along so you could make use of him, so why don't you?
All right, so we're back, and we're going to hopefully use this Martha Reads Martha as a jumping off point to a new semi-regular feature called Kiss Your Mama with That Mouth. Our thought is to have some of the mamas that we know, some mamas that maybe you know, read passages from these books. Now, I know some mamas, you can't ever imagine your mama saying throbbing, pulsing, you know, those kind of words. So if you want to nominate somebody to read, you can let us know if it needs to be G, PG, you know, if they don't mind reading X-rated R, you know, we can kind of tailor it to that. So
It doesn't have to be your mama.
No.
It can be your aunt. It can be your uncle.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just like get an older person who would be hilarious reading this shit.
Yes. So, and if you have, you know, anybody that you want to nominate, let us know on social media or our Gmail, bodistipplers@gmail.com.
And then we'll just send you information on how to
Yeah.
do it. You don't have to know how to record stuff. We'll tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have actually kind of refreshed our questions.
Yes.
They are mostly the same, but we hope they are funnier.
Yeah.
So, number one, does the dude have big dick energy or big dick energy?
So, again, I have a thing, like, Johanna Lindsey's heroes, for me, I find very just kind of bland. Like, again, I feel like her focus on these books is with the female characters.
He's like a dick with legs. Yeah.
Yeah, like, there's just nothing really about them. There's no, like, back and forth, like, the exchanges. I always find the guys really boring. So it's like, he wasn't terrible. Again, the weird sexual politics of this book aside, like, he was just sort of there to me.
And I mean, Tedra, we see everything pretty much through Tedra's viewpoint, even when, like, he's the only one on screen. But we're, like, she makes really no attempt to understand him at all.
Yeah, like...
So, yeah, obviously he's, like, terrible by modern standards, but, like, it's kind of impossible to tell anything about him
Like,
at
he has
all.
no real personality.
No.
All he is just kind of, like, sex and also to be, you know, the informational, like, just to give us basically context of the planet. Like, that's all he did.
Yeah. So, it's, honestly, I'll pass that because
Yeah.
it's impossible to tell.
All right, would you talk shit with or about the heroine? So I really liked her. I
Yeah.
thought she was super fun. She's sassy. Like, she's not cowering around.
She has a real job.
Yeah.
And she's, like, really passionate about her real job.
Yeah, she's not passive, so I liked her.
Yeah, she was pretty great. I liked her, too. Virginia Woolf or Phyllis Schlafly? Like, are there good female friendships? Like, is that our Bechdel to bitch thing that we used to do? See, okay, here's where we differed in our opinions. Because I felt that Martha was a very bad friend. Your friends don't leave you to get ravished, even if you really want to get ravished, okay?
Again, the way that I took it, the way that it was, to me, reading it and explained in the book, was Martha was almost like a consciousness extension of Tedra. So it didn't bother me as much because I don't think Martha would have ever put her in a situation where anything would be non-consensual.
Martha didn't fucking know.
But I mean, I think Martha knows her because she's almost like programmed into her. So like, she was like, this is what she's been looking for.
Well, I guess it's on Tedra's, like, head because she bought Martha. But
Yeah.
I think that, like, you would really actually hate that. If something were giving you
Yeah.
the things that, like, you subconsciously wanted, you would not appreciate
and,
it.
Like, they talked about a lot, like, her, like, basically making Martha that way because of the stress situation, like, this whole sex stress.
See, and if she was just getting it on the regular,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have needed to just
Yeah,
be next
so-
Tuesday for a personal digital assistant.
Yeah, Martha does not bother me. as
Like,
much as
Alexa
Tedra
just,
does.
like, I don't know. I hope that Alexa would keep me
Yeah.
from being abducted by He-Man.
So, how badly are you judging your mama for reading this book?
I mean, I'd laugh. It has a truly ridiculous cover.
Yeah, I don't think my mama would have read this one.
So, Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye? So what are the consent politics of this book? We did warn you that it's got what we thought we would be. We thought we were going to get so many books like this where it's a straight up ravishing, as in she says no, but she absolutely means yes. And what we've gotten instead is books with rape. And we've gotten books with consensual sex, but we haven't really had, like, this.
I feel like this is very on brand for Johanna Lindsey. It reminds me a lot of Silver Angel, where we dealt with the harem, and I think, what was her name? Like, Chantal.
Oh, God.
Basically being seduced. We had people in the harem who were in love with the guy, and were always wanting to be with him. So, to me, it's very much... It's just kind of like Silver Angel, but in space, but with a sassier heroine.
But I think it's a harder ravish. I mean, it's not a hard ravishing, but I mean, it's less consensual, even though he says he wouldn't.
Yeah, but
it's a fantasy.
But for me, I think Silver Angel bothered me more because you had people who were actually enslaved, and you had that one lady that like got the Nigerian princess that basically is sold off, and you don't know what happens to her. So that one to me was more upsetting. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
We've read like these ravishing books to me that are like this one I found in like what we read of her, I liked it better than I liked Silver Angel, because like to me I felt like Tedra was down from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, I've got obviously this is all in a very clear fantasy context. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's about a woman's fantasy about like, well, what if you could say no if you really, really wanted to.
I mean, like, and there's a point like where it's like, she could have killed him if she wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, if it ever got to that point, she could kill him. So,
and he wouldn't really hurt her. I mean, like, it's all very crafted so that you feel okay about this. Yeah. I mean, as long as the basic idea doesn't bother you. That this is like the safest way that you're going to have this kind of ravishing situation in a book. And it's obviously built for women's fantasies. Yeah. So, no, I had no problem with it. It's just that obviously some people will.
Yeah, again, I feel like I said, it's very Johanna Lindsey. All right, so would Scarlett Johansson be in the movie? And this is kind of our new CW level of authenticity, talking about like race and just kind of representation.
Well, it's not good science fiction.
No, it's not good science fiction, but the other thing in it is like, it's racist in the fact that there's like, nobody really talks, there's no other representation.
Everybody's white, everybody's white. That's the, like, it's racist in that sense, there's certainly not, like, another group of barbarians who are more barbarian in a different skin color or anything. It's just that everybody's assumed to be white. Yeah. That's the, but yeah, if you want good science fiction, this is not it, y'all.
No, it's very just what it is, I guess.
Yeah. You're not leaving the house looking like that. What are the worst outfits of this book?
So we get a lot of her, like, space jumpsuits. We get the weird thing with the scarves. He's in his buckskin pants. I mean, what's on the box is what you get.
Yeah.
Like,
there's not a lot of different outfits, but what you get is a ridiculous outfit. So I'm gonna give that a hard thumbs up on stupid outfit.
Yeah. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages? I mean, probably. Again, the sex...
Oh, all of them, but...
The sex in it is not... You don't have body parts.
None of it's hot.
Yeah.
You would think it would be, because it is most of the book. If you took out the sex, it would be a pamphlet.
Yeah, it's very just kind of like...
like he's suddenly inside her,
Yeah, it does that very, like, weird description that a lot of these books do, where we talk about sex as, like, these weird transcendent, like, emotional things, but it's not like... a penis and a vagina. There's none of that.
They're necking, and then they're doing it.
Yeah.
But not in any kind of, like, as a kid, I would have dog-eared all of it.
Yeah.
But I would have been vaguely disappointed by it. And as an adult, none of it was hot.
Yeah.
What pairs nicely with a dumpster fire?
So I see this as being just like a Zinfandel. Just pink and really sweet, and like, you're like, oh, I regret it.
I'm going to drink it, but I'm not. I'm thinking, like, that or something that you quaff.
Yeah.
Drink it out of a tankard. But it's not like a SCA thing, like a medieval times thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good. Or, like, if you really wanted to do, like, a ladies who are being extremely loud at a bar and they're all drinking something purple.
Yeah.
It could be that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our second Johanna Lindsey book. You will definitely like the cover. Even if you don't want to, you should look at the cover. Even if you want to read this book, not at all. To see our show notes and more, visit our website at bodicetipplers.com. And if you're interested in other fun podcasts, you should try this one here.
Hey, I'm Shar.
And I'm Kelly, and together we host Drinking and Screaming.
We're a new horror discussion podcast based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, where each episode we pair a new cocktail with our movie of the week.
For instance, I'm pairing this ad with just a shot of tequila. You know, because most ads are horrible.
With Drinking and Screaming, you'll find yourself pulled into a new horror film to discuss and a new cocktail to try every week.
Every episode is laced with great soundtracks, theme breakdowns, production trivia, Char's bad drinks, and so much more.
What?
I said clips from the movie.
New episodes every week. Join in on the spoops. Drinking and Screaming, wherever podcasts are found.
I give this ad a 5 out of 10.
You know, we don't rate the movies.
5 out of 10.